on an expensive mic today, I might sound a little different. Hey, I wrote this shit for Ronnie, just know I'm here for you, brother. Reminiscing on them days when I shed a tear for you, brother. Know the toughest days you've been through are in the rear for you, brother. God moves on his own time, and he made it clear to you, brother. See the finish line. I visualize realities I wanted, then invented mine. It ain't how you start, it's how you finish. Word to the scrimmage line. Luckily, my hustle is my passion. This shit intertwined.
And we're back for another episode here of the Coach's Corner podcast. And as always, got my right-hand man here, Mike Anderson. And
Yes,
today we're going to be interviewing Lisette Mowery. And we're super excited to have you here, Lisette, and learn a little bit more about what you're doing on your side of things. Now, just to get it started off, you are in the women's health coaching space, right?
I am, yeah. I actually specialize in weight loss. I'm a nutritionist, and I specialize in weight loss for women, specifically over the age of 40. You know, that time of that women start to have different changes in their life, and it gets more difficult to lose the weight that they want to lose. And so I'm here to help them through that.
That's awesome. I love it.
That is that like primarily like diving into kind of like hormone type of situations?
It is, yeah. And how I got started on this was I had a full hysterectomy a couple years ago, and it totally messed up my body. I gained a lot of weight, and I had a hard time losing it. And so as I started to figure out how to lose it, and I became then a nutritionist, and I got certified as a health coach. And I was like, I got to help other women do this because it's hard to do it by yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the fact that you're coming from experience with coaching, right? Because that's like the huge thing that we talk about with our clients is that, you know, typically coaches get into the coaching space because they've been through some sort of transformation that has changed their lives, and now they want to help others go through that same shift, right? So like, it's awesome to see that that's in alignment with you as well. What would you say are some of, you know, speaking to that audience, right? Speaking to those individuals you just mentioned and that target audience, like what would you say are some staples or some key habits that people need to implement into their life this year in order to, you know, achieve that end result of cutting that weight?
Really what I focus on is whole food eating. So if it was around 100 years ago, then that's something that you can put into your body. And I have this thing called crowding out. It's called crowding out. And that's where you fill your day with whole foods that are healthy for you. You know, you don't have to skimp on flavor. There's lots of things out there that can make your food nice and flavorful. But by the end of the day, you're full and you don't have room to eat all the crap that you want to eat. You're just, you can't anymore. And if you do have room, then you have room for just a little something. So that's really what I like to do with my clients is the crowding out method. And all the recipes and stuff that I give and that we do in my program are packed with flavor and like freaking delicious. My kids even love all the recipes that I have.
I love it. Yeah, that's a huge one for sure. It's like we always talk because we have a good amount of like nutrition coaches, fitness coaches that we work with, and a lot of it is around that, right? Especially when you're working with individuals in that age range. It's like, well, I've got to create this whole new diet, and I've got to figure out how to feed it to my kids, and I've got to, you know, spend all this money on healthy groceries and all this stuff. That's really just stories, right? It's just like stories at the end of the day. It's what's the real difference with eating whole foods and eating not whole foods? Like maybe a little bit of a price, not too much, right? Yeah. So it's like a lot of times it's just story based. But what would you say to your example? Because some people might not exactly know the definition of that, but like what by definition would you say are whole foods that you should be incorporating on a day-to-day basis?
So, you know, any kind of fruit or vegetable. So really what I'd like to tell my clients is, and anybody that asks, you know, a question like this, you should be shopping on the outside of the grocery store. So the outside is where all the good whole foods are. If you're shopping primarily up and down the aisles, stay away from that as much as you can. Oh, did you guys hear all that?
Yeah, we heard you. We just, the video went in and out, but yeah, I heard you. So stay on the outside of the grocery store.
Outside of the grocery store. Yeah. And like I said, if it's something, No, yeah, no. But I'm also of the mentality that we're human and there's no way to maintain a lifestyle of just not ever indulging in something, right? And so, yes, give yourself some grace. Like me, I have at least a piece of dark chocolate or a glass of wine at night. Like, I don't skimp on the things that I want. I just do it in moderation.
Mm.
It's
So
discipline at the end of the day, you know?
it is. And actually, you know what? It's a habit too.
Mhm.
And I have a free ebook that's for this month, and it's called Goal Getting and Habit Stacking. And it's all about implementing one habit every month that you can follow. Because if you can stick to a habit for 30 days, it becomes part of your lifestyle. And so, something like you said, it's doing the self-control of like, okay, I'm only gonna have one glass of wine a night. Make that a habit, and then it's something that you can still do that is still within the realm of like you enjoying yourself, but also cutting out like a whole bottle of wine a night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby steps first, like
Exactly,
just
baby
take
steps,
take
baby
the
steps.
right steps. Like one of my coaches that I've worked with for a long time, like he always pretty much answers any sort of advice with like, just take the next right step. Like, what's the next right step right now? It doesn't need to be like a jump. It just needs to be the next right step, you know?
Right, what do they say? Eat when you how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly,
And
yep.
so
100%.
really, with my ebook, this is going one bite at a time. It's going one day at a time. I have little square or circles that you can check off every day saying, I did the habit for the day. And then by the end of the year, you're going to have so many amazing habits under your belt. And you just ate that elephant one day at a time, one bite at a time.
Love it.
Yeah, I like what you incorporated there too with the accountability. That's the biggest thing, as far as having something that you can reference as a guide. Like, me and Mike are big fans of that ourselves, just over like we use an app called Notion, and it's like a project management app, but we pretty much use it to run our day-to-day life, to be completely honest with you. But it's all like realistically just accountability to yourself, like I always tell myself if it goes down, like I need to get it done. But back to that point, as far as like, kind of what you're talking about, as far as food, and just eating healthier, like one of the biggest things for me was, to that point is it doesn't all taste like crap, like you can find out ways to make it healthy. But like me, like, because I'm not, in your position, a nutritionist or very knowledgeable about like food in general or the science behind, how it can affect me, my body, and like, just testosterone, things like that. But the easiest way that I've broken it down for myself is just like one healthy, protein, one source of protein, one like big ass thing of veggies, and a nice healthy fat, like a handful of almonds or an avocado, like, and if I can just base that for 2 meals out of my day, and just, make my snacks like, a banana and some peanut butter and some almonds, like just like healthy snacks, then you're right. Like when it comes down to bedtime, I don't feel bad about eating the 2 cookies. I'm like, fuck it, I was good all day. And I
Exactly.
and I was talking to one of my coaches about this, Corey Gregory, and he was talking about a conversation that he was having with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was asking Arnold about like, why do you smoke cigars, why do you drink whiskey, like you're like this goddess, but you're still doing these like human things. And he was like, that's exactly it, like I'm human, and like when you live such a disciplined life, like you really have to like allow yourself to have that 20% where you can do what you want, and you can like be a little like undisciplined, like I didn't want to say undisciplined, because you're still being disciplined by allowing it just that little bit. So even the biggest people out here, like they all are human, like it's just about, to your point, being disciplined and implementing these habits.
Exactly. And and plan out your day, plan out your week. And if on Thursday your best friend's having a birthday party and you want a piece of cake or you want to eat the pizza, plan out the week, plan out your Thursday and say, okay, in the morning I'm going to eat, like some just have it so much just that night when you're with your friends, you're not worried about eating the shit, right? Because
Yeah.
you planned for it and you planned it into your diet, and that's okay. That's okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like, to your point, schedule based, because I think that a lot of people run into a circumstance where maybe they work a career that's very active and they don't, have a lot of time to like put aside or whatever the case may be. I work from home, run a business, and I'm still terrible with eating schedules. Like I have to front load my nutrition with my breakfast smoothie. Like my breakfast smoothie's got like 80 grams of protein, like like you know what I mean, like 60 grams of fat, like 100 grams of carbs, just because I know that if I have that breakfast smoothie, it's going to take care of a majority of my macros that I need for the day, and then I can eat my dinner and maybe a little bit snack, and I hit my goals for the day. So it's like, based off of your schedule, it's going to change. There's no like cut and dry sequence. Like if you're someone who, one of our clients who's a fitness coach, works with medical professionals, and medical professionals have a very, very daunting schedule, right? They're like in and out of rooms all day. They can barely set aside the time to like actually meal plan to an extent. So it's like, that's a lot of what he incorporates with people as well, is working around the schedule, right? So like, what would you say are some of the strategies with individuals that you work with who might have that hectic work schedule? How do they hit that goal?
Most of my clients that I do work with have extremely hectic work schedules, and what I do with them is that I have an app for my clients, and on there I actually send little messages to them saying, "Don't forget to eat." But if you're not my client, what I suggest is set a timer. Set a timer to remind yourself, hey, drink the water, right? Because sometimes we start getting so busy and the water's sitting right next to our computer, but we haven't picked it up because we're so focused. So set some reminders for yourself. And because we do all need to actually take like a bit of a breather, And so it's very good just to say, okay, I'm going to set a timer for noon. And at noon, I'm going to drink a protein shake. If you know your schedule's busy, do something like what you're doing, right? Where it's something simple that you can put in your body really quickly, but it's going to be good for you. And so at 12 o'clock comes, pick up that smoothie, chug it if you got to, and then move on with your day and go to the next timer.
I'm about to set some timers for water right now, because that's the one I'm missing out on lately for sure.
Man, that's honestly probably the biggest one. Like I don't know like the actual like recommended amount of water that you should be consuming every day, but I've always been told, like a gallon a day is like pretty good for you, and like when I first started trying to drink a gallon of water per day, I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of water. But now like like being consistent with it, like it's almost hard not to. Like days that I travel and stuff, I'm in the airport, I obviously try not to drink that much because I'm not trying to be getting up every time, every 10 minutes and peeing on the plane. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like that's honestly one of the biggest things that I've like realized is like kind of like the key to everyone's like health problems, like I've been really consistent, like honestly, probably like 5 years plus. I've been drinking like a gallon of water per day. Like my coaches in high school and stuff like really started to hit us hard about that. And when I went to college, it was probably like a gallon of alcohol per day. And then, I got out of college and then I got back to my roots. But, but so, like now at this point, like it's really funny because it's like completely the opposite. Like it's actually like really, really hard for me not to drink water. Like I'll get through the gallon, I'll still be thirsty, but it's interesting. Like, I really never get sick. My girlfriend like talks about this all the time. She's like, wow, like you never really get sick. Like we've been dating like 5 years. I've really never been sick. And like to like a really like bad, spot where I was like out of commission during that time. And I was like, I mean, it's pretty simple, like I don't, number one, I'm like, I hate spending money, so like I really, when it comes to shopping, like I'm there to get what I need to get and that's it, like the Oreos and stuff, they don't, they don't fit, so I've always been good about like eating pretty decent, drinking a lot of water, which what you were talking about earlier about like filling yourself up with the good stuff, it doesn't leave me room for like the sodas and stuff that I used to want to drink, because I'm so like full off the water and, just the food that I've eaten, that the other stuff isn't really even a top of mind as far as the appetite. But you know, like to the person on the other end, what would you say is like the biggest thing that they can do to start transitioning to that point? You know, like say I'm a person that wakes up, I crack the Diet Coke, you know, I eat the bagel and cream cheese, and you know, I go to work. Like, how can I start to like, you know, get into those like healthier habits? You know, because like if you told somebody that was religious about drinking, you know, 3 or 4 Diet Cokes a day, like telling them to cut that out cold turkey is like non-existent for them, you know? So like how can you like start to develop those habits that you were talking about? How can you start, like, what would you tell somebody to get them to start rolling that direction?
Start small. If you are drinking 4 Diet Cokes a day, take out 1, you know, and do lots of substituting. Like if you wake up and you like, what's the real reason you like a Diet Coke? So for me, I love Coke products. I love them. But I found that substituting seltzer water, it satisfies that need, because I like the bubbles of the
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the sugar necessarily. It's just the bubbles. It's the sensation of it, right? So that's what I do now. I drink, instead of drinking Coke, and I'll have a Coke every now and then, but I definitely so try to substitute it with something that's similar, or try cutting it out one at a time, and also plan. If you have a plan in place, you're gonna follow it more, you know. So don't buy the bagel and cream cheese at the store, right? Buy some eggs and some shredded cheese and some mushrooms, and make a scramble in the morning. And if you know that you have those things on hand and you don't have the bagel and cream cheese, then that's, you know, then the things that you already want to have are there, and the things that you shouldn't be having aren't there at home. So, and also to hit on the water, specifically for women retain a lot of water, especially, you know, if they're not of a certain age and they still have, you know, their monthly. If you drink, that would be holding water. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it works. You drink water,
Yeah.
you lose the water weight. And also water is really, really good for your skin. And women, we care about our skin. So drink the water for the BMX.
Yeah, that's the one thing I always try and tell people is you know, like when they're like feeling ill, or you know, like feeling like, you know, they might have the flu or a cold, you know, something like that. I'm like, man, just start chugging water. Like don't drink anything else other than water, you know? Like I always tell people like water is the key to all your problems, you know, like
Literally.
Our body's made up of like what, 90% water. Like that's what we are. We're water. So that's why we need water so much. And if you're thirsty, that means that you're dehydrated. So you're already on the back end of like, okay, got to catch up to water. And sometimes when you're hungry, you're not hungry. Your body is thirsty.
Mm.
So always too, like I tell my clients sometimes, they're going to be so much fuller, and they're not going to eat as much because they're full from the water.
yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
realizing how dehydrated I am right now. Damn.
Like you got to get a big ass jug.
I gotta
like
go.
that's why I have like this huge jug, you know.
I'm like looking around. I got my
where's
coffee
the
cup.
water?
I got nothing else.
That's hilarious.
It's
Mike's
Monday,
like,
y'all.
I gotta go, you guys. I gotta go get the water.
It's Monday, y'all. It's Monday. I just got the coffee next to me right now.
No problem. The coffee is good too.
That's funny.
But cool. So going into back into like kind of like what you do with your clients, like what's like kind of like the starting point for a lot of your clients? Like I think like one of the biggest like misconceptions is or the hardest things, I wouldn't say misconceptions, like one of the hardest hurdles is kind of like starting to get into this space of like, you know, transitioning your lifestyle, like you were saying, you know, like with families, and you know, we're used to buying like the fruit roll-ups at the grocery store, and how am I going to get my kids to eat like some carrots and ranch instead, you know? Like what are like kind of like some of the starting points? Like how does somebody come into, you know, work with you to you know, start to transition their household?
Well, you know, with every individual client, I do a very customized meal plan and customized workout. So depending on the situation, so let's say they do have kids that don't like veggies, then I'm going to provide some recipes and some meal ideas that incorporate veggies that they don't even know that they're in there.
Mm.
Right? So starting with something like that, or just doing like a game with your kids, like let's do a taste test, and which bell pepper do you like better, the green, the orange, the red? Make it a game, make it something fun. And for clients, for themselves, if it's something's really hard, what I find is that most of my clients, when we talk before they become my client, the number one thing that they need is just accountability. And so if I'm there going, did you drink your, gallon of water today? Or throughout the day, right? My app reminds you, drink some water. And at the end of the day, did you do that? And they feel like they have to tell me, they're paying me to to help them. So they're like, I better do what she says. So yeah. So, I really do find that accountability goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think like in the coaching space in general, accountability is like honestly the biggest reason that we all have a job, as coaches, like in reality, like most of us know what we should be doing, like we know like that, like there's a level of guilt that I get every time I buy the box of cookies at Sam's Club. I'm like, man, these are the best fucking cookies ever, but oh my gosh, I know I'm gonna like eat 16 cookies throughout the course of this week. Like that is just a terrible thought,
Right.
But to that point, like overall it's just like, in the back of my mind, it's sitting there. Like I know, what's right and what's not right. And like the rest of the world is like that too. I know for a fact. Like you can't tell me with the access to information that we have that we don't know what we should and shouldn't be doing as human beings. But that's exactly what it is, right? Right, what we were talking about is the accountability that we can provide, as far as being in your backhand, in your back pocket, constantly reminding you like, hey, did you get this done? Like, hey, if you're not seeing what you want to see, it's because you're not doing what you should be doing, type of thing. It's very obvious. But
Exactly. And then the goal with your client is always to wean them off, right? Like they can't necessarily work with you forever.
exactly.
So, that's why, my company is called Lifestyle by Lisette, because it's about getting into a healthier lifestyle, changing your lifestyle, not necessarily, oops, sorry, I have a phone call here. Not
No, you're fine.
necessarily, sorry, the phone call distracted me. But you have to, be able to start doing things on your own. So it's a process. And when you start, you're not going to be perfect. And, be honest with whoever is holding you accountable and say, I didn't do the workout today. Well, then are you going to do it tomorrow? Yes, I will.
Yeah.
And just be forgiving of yourself, because you're human. You're going to make mistakes, but it's about starting slow and gradually building up to make that mole into a mountain, right? That molehill into a mountain.
100%. And I feel like that's such a huge piece of it, right? Is like one thing you mentioned there is, the transparency of like admitting where things are falling through the cracks,
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably the missing key with most individuals who are looking to transform their lives in any sort of way, whether it's a, mental transformation, business transformation, physical transformation, spiritual transformation, is the radical transparency of like when you're not holding yourself to the standard that you should be,
Yeah.
It's pretty easy for us to like convince ourselves that we can just tell people we did it. Nobody's following you to the gym, right? Nobody's following you every meal that you eat. So being transparent and being able to say like, yep, I definitely ate a whole can of Ben and Jerry's last night and that wasn't the right move, is probably what's necessary in order for people to actually realize when they're winning and when they might have taken a step back,
Exactly. And, really, I would say, just like, so for weight loss, we say that it's 80% diet, 80% of your nutrition, 20% is working out. The same goes with getting into these habits and changing your lifestyle. It is 80% mindset, like it's all about the mindset. And so that's why I encourage my clients. I have journals that I give them, like journaling, have a gratitude for the day, having a great morning routine, you know, waking up and having a cup of tea and journaling and maybe meditate, that, you know, not necessarily, but, you know, just sitting there and reflecting. And then that sets the day, that sets the tone for the day, that you're going to make the better choices because your mindset is there, you know? So, but that's, you know, and anyone can have an accountability partner. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to have a coach. A coach is but a coach. Oh, I lost you guys.
Oh, we got you back, I think. All
Yeah.
good, all good.
My StreamYard like completely disappeared. So for the past like 20 minutes, I've just been looking at a blank computer screen. I don't know where
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I'm like
Well,
just looking into the camera.
Yeah, you're participating well.
Thanks.
You are.
I'm just going off of ear and like just looking, you know. I'm like, that's why I was looking around. I'm like, where's the window? Like, where did it go?
Good thing you like didn't start picking your nose or something.
Yeah, right. Like I forgot that we're even on camera right now, and I'm like,
girl, if I can't see them, they can't see me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Legit. Yeah, and picking up off that point that we were just talking about, though, as far as like the accountability partners, like I like what you said as far as like, you know, I try and transition my clients away from me. Like that's one of the biggest things that we try and focus on too, with our clients, is pulling them into a position to where they can work with themselves, but at the same time, like they can do this, they can get the same stuff that we provide from them, you know, from other people that they're connected with. So in your case, this applies the same way in your case. Like if you know, women that are in their 40s that have, you know, kids and a husband, you know, are like your prime clients, then, you know, think about the accountability that they can create within their house. You know, like when, you know, like get your team, you know, get your household on this same like plan, and then hold each other accountable for this. You know, like, hey, on Friday, if we've all followed our you know, our food eating guide for the week, you know, we've all been good about our food, then we can go out to eat, you know, or we can go to the trampoline park, you know, like give like incentives for doing good things, and then make it like a you know, kind of like a game between each other. You know, like that's the biggest thing that I see that can be beneficial as far as like creating that accountability within your household too, and getting everybody on your program, so that way you're all mutually benefiting, you know, like that, like, and to that point that we were talking about right from the beginning, is like just getting everybody on board is just going to help you in so many different ways, because now you don't have to worry about, you know, what we were talking about as far as the pain of like, oh, I got to like create one meal for me and then like a whole new meal for my husband and my kids because they won't eat this good stuff, you know. They want, you know, chicken tenders and fries, you know.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think the accountability is like the biggest thing. So like, you know, as we were talking about from the beginning, you had mentioned the ebook again. I want to circle back around that just so we can cover that again before we hop off here, and make sure that we can drive some listeners here to that. So real quick, highlight that again and just kind of like what it covers again.
So it's called a goal getting and habit stacking ebook. And it covers you implementing 12 habits through the year, one habit per month. And there's a checklist and through for every single day of the year, and reminders and why you're wanting to change into that habit. It is totally awesome. I made my kids use it, and they feel so proud of themselves that they're following this habit stacking. And I call it habit stacking because you're stacking, you start with one habit, right? For January, you're stacking another for February, then March, April, May, June, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're a nice new fancy person at the end of 2022.
There you go. There you go. So where can they get access to this ebook? Where's the best place to find it?
I have it on my Instagram, and my Instagram is lifestyle.by.lisette, and it's on there. You can you'll have to message me, but it's on there. And then I have another one coming up in February. Another, it's a surprise of what February's free content's going to be, but I'm super excited about it. It's coming out February 1st. And then on top of that, I have a free 5-day weight loss challenge starting February 7th. And it's 5 days of awesomeness to kind of get you on the roll of losing the weight that you want to lose.
Perfect. So we'll make sure, Ray, if you're listening to this, please drop the Instagram username and the Facebook profile and all that stuff in the description of the episode, so you listeners can just go in the description to get access to that stuff. Make it easy for you guys to pop right in.
Yes,
Awesome.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say one more thing. As Mike was talking about getting the family involved, and we need to leave our kids with a legacy, and a legacy of health. Yeah, do we want to leave them a legacy of wellness, of wealth as well? Of course. But the best thing that we can do for our kids is teach them proper health habits now, so they have it as an adult. So hopefully they don't need to go to a weight loss program, because they're already doing all the right things because you taught them that. And that is super important to me, is to help not only women lose weight, but to just feel better and leave their kids a legacy of health.
Yeah, no, I love that. And one of the biggest things is like, that's the exact way that I look at myself is, like my siblings, the oldest one is like 14 years younger than me. So he's like 13 now. And my youngest one is like 8 years old. So my parents had me at like 16 and 18, divorced, remarried, completely restarted, had kids. Like I remember being in middle school, like, holy shit, like you're having a kid, like holy cow. But but anyways, point of the story is like I literally look at my life based on that, because like they all look up to me as like I'm like some like superhero, and like in reality, like kids especially all do, look up to the people that they're closest to, the surrounding people. So for me, like that's like one of the biggest things that I always like sit back on in the back of my head, just thinking like, man, like I hope my little siblings think I'm a fucking beast, like I hope they're like, man, that's my older brother Mike, that guy is a god, like that guy is next level. But yeah, and like, to like the men that might be listening too, like have that, have that like emotion in your mind, when it comes to your family and the people that are looking up to you, like to your point, like having your siblings or your family, your spouse, your kids, having your entire team on board is only going to benefit you guys as a whole, just the positive and the thinking, the actions in the household overall, like it's just going to drive the entire house, up, so that's the one of the biggest things that another one of my coaches talks about is like having your house in check, and like for me, the nutrition, the fitness, like that's one of the main aspects. It's like fueling the Lamborghini, it's fueling the Ferrari, like if we can look at our bodies as like these objects, we'll start to think a little bit differently about them. Like the oil light comes on in your car, you drive that shit to a shop, you get your oil changed. Same thing on your body, like take care of this shit. But cool. Exactly. It was really awesome having you on today. And like I said, we'll go ahead and drop the links, Lisette's social media profile here in the bio or the description. And for anybody that wants to get access to her ebook or take action on the free 5-day weight loss challenge that she has starting at the beginning of February, go ahead and DM her and say, hell yeah, I'm in, and let's get it rocking. But cool.
Yes,
it was awesome to have you.
Having me.
Absolutely.
Great
to have
you. Awesome.
And we'll go ahead and cut it. See you next time.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm on the expensive mic today. I might sound a little different. Hey, I wrote this shit shit for Ronnie, just know I'm here for you, brother. Reminiscing on them days when I shed a tear for you, brother. Know the toughest days you've been through are in the rear for you, brother. God moves on his own time, and he made it clear to you, brother. See the finish line. I visualize realities I wanted, then invented mine.